Hello, Capricorn. My name is Kristen Simone Hansen, and welcome to Secrets. It's gonna cool it down a little bit. The Kristen kiss. By the way, in terms of the wine, it's a very simple bottle, one of my favorites. Super, super inexpensive and very good. It's very easy in terms of going down. Lately, I've been drinking all of my wine out of straws to help my teeth. Too many spliffs. But anyway, so let's get started. All right, so Capricorn, you have been enduring the aftermath of this intense Libra New Moon eclipse, which has been heavy, but oddly enough light. It's interesting how you guys have been dancing between this psychological negativity and yet instill this lightheartedness that seems to be carrying you underneath the surface. It's quite strange. And a lot of my conversations with you guys have been like this. It's like, Kristen, I feel strained. I don't know what to do, but at the same time, I feel very lighthearted and I feel okay somehow, even though I shouldn't be okay. And it's interesting how these things have been playing out. And then a lot of the stuff with the past and the subconscious. And I think a lot of that is causing a lot of the internal frustration. And nonetheless, you guys have been struggling through divine timing, a lot of patience, carrying the weight of a lot of things and feeling like, okay, maybe you've exhausted all of your resources and you don't know where the end is going to find you, which makes sense in terms of causing frustrations or pain or despair or anything along those lines. But here we are gearing up for the Taurus full moon, which is also an eclipse. It's a moon eclipse, whereas the other one was a solar eclipse. And it's actually a completely different energy. So funny enough, usually the new moon is what creates new life, right? Usually what breathes new beginnings. But in this case, I find that with October, the new moon was actually bringing out a lot of closings or endings, whereas the full moon is kind of where the new beginnings will find you, at least. And those notions of kind of renewals and much needed breaths of fresh air, I would say. So it's interesting as we're gearing up for this energy and clearing out the energy of the past and how the two come together. Kind of like what we had with the new moon, the Libra new moon, where the things that are taking place, the endings, the revelations in terms of who you have around you, the frustrations, the irritations, you guys, as I said, are going to kind of, and have been wielding a sword around you, just kind of being a little bit unhinged. And some of you guys may be feeling kind of angry, frustrated, lacking a filter, and kind of just letting it all hang out in terms of, well, I'm no longer going to keep the peace, or I'm no longer going to hold this in, or I'm no longer going to choose other people above myself. Really, that's the battle that you've been going through internally, is what does it mean to put yourself first? And all of the things that have been hurting you, wounding you, frustrating you, the losses that you've had, the things that have been your battles have really been about that. Whether it is relationships, whether it is work, financial, business, etc., family, it's like these things that have been really pissing you off are because they are showing you where you have chosen others above you, where the way you think is a reflection of feeling like you have to work for something instead of innately believing that you deserve it, and how that notion or that belief system has gotten in your way numerous times over and over again. I know it may not feel that way or seem that way, but finding responsibility in all situations does not mean self-blame. It means being able to take control of the narrative. And if you look at each thing, it is an indication of that. Where you may be thinking of your clients a little bit too much than you were thinking of what would be feasible for you as a business person. Where were you thinking of your family above yourself? Or you were thinking of your partners or your relationships ahead of your own feelings and what it is that you needed, and then you took on too much and you went in the wrong direction, or you invested in things that did not give you a proper ROI. And really it came from a feeling of unworthiness or feeling like you had to overly prove yourself, etc. And that's classic Libra energy. Libra will amplify these things, especially for you, Capricorn, because it's your 10th house. And that people pleaser, I'm going to compromise myself, I'm going to think about the greater good over my personal good. No, it's where is your personal good? And at the end of the day, especially for you, Seagoat, as a cardinal sign, your personal good is the beginning of many people's other goods, I guess. I don't know if I'm saying that the right way, but when you put yourself first and you love yourself first, then innately you can be a better lover to others, and other people want to love you more simply because of the way you love yourself. You don't really have to do too much or prove anything to them or put on a show, really. It's just the way that you are. It's just your own energy creating a magnetism around you because of the way in which you cater to and take care of yourself. Choosing yourself is not selfish, especially for someone like you, who is so much of a work-induced person. You put in effort, etc. You know how to separate from the self and do things that are naturally selfless. So, and to choose you is actually the answer to all the questions that you've had running through you in your subconscious and conscious minds, really, and the weight that you've been feeling emotionally. So what will be, as I was saying. So pretty much anything that is connecting, any disconnecting, any relationships that are connecting, will come into fruition regardless of how it is that you want to see it through. So some of you could be thinking about the past, old relationships, old people, and thinking like, oh, I wonder if this would work out, or I wonder if I could bring this back, probably because of what it is that you feel like you've lost. Thinking, you're probably going back into your mind thinking of things that you could have found. What felt similar to what it is that you feel like you need now. But what will be, and what is. So anything that is gone simply because it was meant to be gone. And anything that is here for you now is here for you because it was meant to be for you. It is what it is that you innately deserve. So going back to things like Venus and understanding that Venus represents your love, your money, your resources, and your values, especially when it's on the side of Taurus. Self-worth concepts, things about your self-value, what it is that you feel like you deserve, what does it mean to pamper the self, to take care of the self. Taurus is in your 5th house, and Taurus is all about the pleasures of how you experience your life, because the merger of the 5th along with Taurus is all about that. It's about the luxuries, the royalties, the beauties, all of the things that we do to glamorize and, as I said, pamper and love on the self, and how that notion, I keep saying notion, but how that narrative is going to then bring something in return, or bring people, or bring finances, bring whatever it is that you desire the most, naturally comes to you through the through manifestation within its own right, simply because you're taking care of the most important thing in your life, which ultimately is you. And you're going to be focused on how you can increase your pleasure, how it is that you can live a more pleasurable life, a more balanced life, a more simplistic life, one with less pressure, one where you're putting yourself on the foreground and not on the background. Less self-sacrifice as well. And you're really focused on getting more. How is it that you can have more? How is it that your money can go further, your resources can go further, your assets can go further? How can you generate more just as you are with doing less? How can you add more value, especially in terms of your career and your work? How can you add more value on what it is that you do so that it is innately more valuable, instead of you having to put so much extra effort and energy into it in order for it to feel deserving of what it is that you think it's deserving of. Trines with Capricorn, as I was saying, so what makes you feel good pretty much is what's running through your mind, and a part of that is going to be similar to what you experienced with the Libra New Moon, where there are frustrations and anger, and, you know, especially if you have other cardinal placements in your top 3, so that is Cancer, Libra, Aries, and Capricorn. So if you are a double Capricorn, triple Capricorn, or any of those other signs, you have been feeling really pissed off, and you've been really on edge, and you've been really ready for war in a lot of ways when it comes to other people. the Taurus transit is not necessarily the same war with others per se, and in a more like, I'm not going to take it anymore. It's more in a sense of, I will not entertain anything that takes away from what makes me feel good. So if it's a person, place, or thing, anything that takes away from you pampering, pleasuring, and prioritizing yourself is not something you will have any kind of tolerance for, in the most Taurian way, which is notorious for headbutting anything that stands in its way or compromises its boundaries. And that is something that you are really wrapping around you, especially because most of this year was about breaking you guys down in order to build you up, making it so that you loved yourself deeper, you saw yourself clearer, you were able to create more self-love. Even through adversity, you were able to generate a level of self-love, worth, and care that you didn't necessarily have before, even if you had more before. And this is kind of like building that armor in a sense, almost like you've taken all this time to become the rose, and now the thorns are being placed on your stem, kind of deal. And you're protecting that rose at all costs, and you're learning how to pamper those leaves and replenish those petals, I guess. So, yeah, so anyway, so going back to the fifth house, you're prioritizing your fun, your freedom, things that make you feel adventurous, what fulfills you spiritually, especially for those of you that are interested in things like the occult. You're not hiding it. You've casually and slowly been not hiding it throughout the year. And you have been more vocal about your change in your beliefs, whatever they might be, being more unapologetic about what it is that you believe and the things it is that you do and how you go about them. Many of you are going to be expanding on businesses that involve the occult or going into them altogether, trusting your intuition deeper and allowing the two to integrate, which is great. So a lot more spiritual trust and balance in the divine in general, and that's a part of your self-care regimen in so many ways. You also can find yourself buying a lot of spiritual artifacts for your home and your wardrobe. So you've been changing a lot, you've been amplifying yourself in the way that you look, and you might just, because it's Taurus and because it's your fifth house, you might want to find yourself putting crystals around your bedroom somewhere, you know, feng shuiing for certain things, seeing these things that you believe, or if it's not the occult, it could be anything with religious figures and factors showing up around your house, wearing pendants and bracelets that better reflect your belief systems and that making you feel more comfortable in who it is that you are and comfortable in your own skin. More bold, because boldness is something that October has been giving to you. And it's more unapologetic. I will not let anyone stand in the way of who it is that I am. And that's kind of your motto. And you're ending October very firm within that. Big focus on love and what it is that you desire the most when it comes to what aligns with you when it comes to love. Now, this doesn't always have to be romantic. It could simply start with, as I said, self-love. So a part of the way in which you are realizing what it is that you want more in love is because you're realizing more of what you want with yourself. You're understanding yourself and your own viewpoint of what you desire and what brings you pleasure. So you're asking more from your partner. You want to see more of the life that you dreamt of living, or just bare bones, like literally better sex, for example, better pleasures, different things like that, more conversations with your partner, more emotional connections, whatever it is that you desire if you are partnered. And if you are single, again, bathing in your own self-love energy. And it could be I don't want to focus on anyone, I just want to focus on myself. Or you're thinking, all of this love that I give to myself has to be returned by somebody else in order for me to give them the time of day, kind of thing. So you have new views during this eclipse. You're seeing yourself in a new way that you never really have before, and that way is very beautiful. Despite all the things that you have gone through and all the losses that you've had, or wins, or the things that have beaten you down, this optimism that's been kind of like slowly sitting underneath the surface, despite all of the frustration or aggravation or hurt or pain or despair that's been on the outside, during the eclipse, it's going to kind of create this like bright light that kind of moves through you, and you're no longer blaming yourself for things, and understanding how to give yourself a little bit more sympathy and empathy, seeing yourself through a greater lens, because you're saying, you know what, it's great that I survived this, or against all odds I decided to do that, or I'm really great, or I'm really talented, or I'm, you know, beautiful, or whatever it may be. You know, no longer kind of putting the weight of the world on your shoulders in that way, and giving yourself the benefit of the doubt, and also seeing situations better and through a greater light as well. You're releasing the weight of responsibility, kind of like what I was saying, and letting go of people pleasing, expectations, failure, etc. So overall, you're dropping the weight, okay? And through letting go of the weight of responsibility, which is the most important one for you, that is the key to you being able to really open this new vault of self-love and self-appreciation, and treating yourself better, and therefore creating a better experience for yourself, being able to manifest what it is, more of what it is that you desire the most, and just being able to be lighter, easier, more balanced in your approach of how you go about things, simply because you're dropping the weight of putting it all on you, of over criticism, again, people pleasing. A lot of you guys' negative self-view was caused by other people and the things that they said, the pressure that they put on you, the responsibility that they put on you, and you're dropping it. And you've started that process with October when it came to that Libra New Moon, because you're just like, you know what, I don't care. You know, it's like so much, will not tolerate this, will not tolerate that, I'm no longer making excuses for this, and you are being very firm in that. And the Taurus transit is just, okay, I've done it, I've said it, and I'm dropping it. You know, put it on the other person, put it on the establishment, whatever it may be, and releasing self-criticism. And that is what's going to free you and, yeah, open that vault of sugar when it comes to the way you're viewing yourself. Another thing as well is revisiting summer, because summer was a lot of 5th house or Leo activation for you. So looking back at that time and reminding yourself of the things that you discussed when Jupiter first entered into Taurus, again, 5th house activation, and when Leo was navigating through your 8th house, it's like, what was giving you pleasure? What were your viewpoints of that? You were definitely looking at yourself in a new light, really focused on what it meant to feel sexier or more in your body. Again, what was giving you pleasure, and the things that had wounded you in the past. So it's kind of looking at that again during this time, and grounding those ideas that you were thinking of at that time, grounding those concepts and viewpoints of yourself. And it can just be as simple as, you know, in July, I wanted to talk to this person, and here I am in October, and I'm going to just give it a go. Or I wanted to dye my hair this color, and since it's in October, I'm going to give it a go, because this would make me feel more balanced in myself, really. Letting go and becoming fully you, as I said. And from there, you're going to gain healthier connections because of it. So that's important to understand, which I think you guys are kind of in a good place, because your tolerance level is very low, mainly because you're exhausted. And you've had to really learn, like, the stubbornness of this ego. You've really had to, the divine has really like pushed it into your brain that you cannot continue to give more than you receive. You cannot continue to try to work connections into your experience, or make things submit to what it is that you desire them to be, or create potential in your own mind. No, either it works or it doesn't. Either it's a good business investment or it's not. Either it's a good business partner or it's not. Or it's a good relationship or it's not. And let it go if it does not serve. And a lot of you might be entering into the world of Tantra as well, combining your belief systems with your points of pleasure, and could be increasing your standards when it comes to things like pleasure and what it is that you want in general, and being unapologetic about it as well. Like, you know, you will not settle for things that do not leave you feeling like you're reaching your highest elevation, or unsatisfied down to, again, a more literal level. So different things like that. You're wrapping up the year in general in a big disconnection phase, mainly because of the Saturn in Pisces transit. So this is the first year of the Saturn in Pisces, and I keep emphasizing to you guys that it is a time of, you know, discrimination for you, in that sense of you guys are going to and have been very critical about who you have around you. And yes, it's caused variations of it could be aloneness, having to go at things by yourself, or maybe feeling a little lonely, etc. But it doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. And you've learned that over time, that going at things alone actually causes you a lot more peace of mind than it does anything else. And really, it's not to leave you in that space, but to redirect you where you have learned how to just let things that are good for you hold space, instead of holding too much space for things that do not serve you or people that do not serve you. No more tolerance for things that you feel like you have to carry, right? If it's not benefiting you, or if they are not benefiting you, then it's just not worth it. And this is a 3-year transit, obviously, with Saturn being in Pisces, and you're wrapping up this first year with a lot of that sword swinging all around you. And what's going to happen is through the next 2 years, it's going to be a little bit lighter. You know, it's not as 2024 is not a year so full of get away from me, get away from me, get away from me. This doesn't serve, that doesn't serve, the end of this big connection, the end of this big friendship or relationship or whatever it means, you know. It's not so much in that sense. You did most of it this year, so 2024 is more inviting newer connections into your experience, new people into your experience, especially after these eclipses where they come into fruition at 6 months after the fact. You're going to see a lot of that change and transition take place in the next 6 months, which leads you into the first half of 2024. Biggest thing, stepping out of your comfort zone. So, you know, although I'm talking about this in a way that sounds very, I don't know if I'm making it sound easy, you will not necessarily be comfortable in the process of doing any of this. So that's something to be aware of. You're being redirected. So things will happen in a way that you did not expect them. Expect good surprises and also bad ones, meaning you have to be redirected and this thing is just going to have to go, or you're just going to have to do something that you thought you weren't going to do, but it's actually what serves you the most. Possibility of love as well, that's another big thing. And again, bettering love when it comes to those of you who are already in connections, but serendipity when it comes to love, if that's the direction that you're going in. At the end of the day, love is going to serve you, whether it be with the self, another, etc. You're getting creative as well, and you're also getting creative with your look and how it is that you show up in the world. And one of the biggest things is when it comes to all of the blessings that come with this moon, it's all about action. So if you take action on what it is that you want the most, you're going to be able to see results. So if you want to get that new contract, if you want that new friendship, if you want to see this new love come into fruition, it moves through you taking the literal steps to make it happen. So and another thing as well, when it comes to showing up in the world differently or more creatively, more authentically to who it is that you want to be, this requires you to make certain movements. And when you make those movements, you're going to see great return. So it's not like in the past where your actions have kind of led you to a space where you felt like not much movement was happening. This eclipse is so pivotal and the energy is so intense that it's like the actions that you put forward are going to give you good returns, some great returns if you want that, but you have to actually put yourself in that position and allow yourself to step out of your comfort zone in terms of what it is that you've done before. So yeah, we're going to get into the reading now. Okay, so Capricorn, here we are for the Taurus full moon. For your subject, what is going to be taking place, at the top of the heap we have justice, which is beautiful. And accompanied with that we have the 5 of Cups, and at its base we have the 9 of Cups. And all together we have making healthier choices in love and in life, self-care, being happier. For your advice, we've got every journey starts with a single step. Dream a beautiful dream. For your healing point, we've got Yogini. And for your shadow, we've got the King of Swords in reverse, along with the 4 of Pentacles in reverse. Very, very interesting. It looks very good. It feels very good. It feels very light. The energy doesn't necessarily feel as heavy as it has been feeling. It feels like, as I was going to say, justice, which is good. And it's sitting there bursting through the clouds, as powerful and as aggressive as it is. It's one of my favorite cards, because when we're talking about things like sea goats, things like karma or the subject of karma is vital, is key. It's a strong representation of your identity within its own right, simply because you are walking karma. So as we've seen sea goats go through a lot when it comes to timing and pressurized feelings of when will this be over, or when you're going to see through what it is that you desire, something feeling like it's failed, something feeling like maybe you were betrayed, etc. We've got this karmic justice coming into fruition. Yes, it's accompanied here with the Five of Cups, right? So what is it that you are paying attention to? Because there is closure, there is renewal, there is karma on your side, or karma afoot, can be good or bad, etc. But it is ultimately coming into fruition. But here we have the Five of Cups and the Nine of Cups. The Nine of Cups is a wish fulfillment, so the fulfillment of all that it is that you desire. We've got these 9 cups sitting here, full on manifestation, what it is that you've wanted being able to be given to you. Whereas the Five of Cups is a negative form of thinking, looking at what was lost and not paying attention to what is still found. Both don't necessarily represent a negative omen, especially when you're here with healthier choices. So I can't help but feel like what is going to be afoot is this conversation of what it is that you will choose. Every journey starting with a single step with the perfection of your life, it's a matter of understanding what is it that you are paying attention to versus what it is that you are not paying attention to. What are you holding on to that you need to let go of, and where is your own criticism holding you back? Karma is simply karma, so it's giving you what it is that it is giving to you, but it is light, it is good, it is on the higher end of things when it comes to what it is that you desire the most. But how is it that you're choosing to look at it? How are you seeing this process? Are you too focused on what it is that was lost, and therefore you can't necessarily see what is found, or what it is that you need to do next? There is a new beginning afoot, but you have to be willing to walk toward it and see the valuable things that are in front of you now, the valuable things that are being given to you. There's something about this Five of Cups, especially when it comes to being happier, making healthier choices, etc. Are you allowing yourself to end up on the side of the Five of Cups where you're realizing, okay, I've lost this, but I'm seeing all of these things that are still here. I'm seeing all of this wish fulfillment. Here we are in this new alignments, or this new beginning where these doors are closing, but on the other side are beneficial things. Or are you choosing to keep yourself stuck in this place? I don't see you choosing to keep yourself stuck in this place, not at all, not even a little bit. I mean, all of this is you moving forward, ready to move forward, ready to get what it is that you want the most. The only thing you're dealing with in your subconscious is, again, fear of letting go, a lot of criticism, a lot on the mind. But again, it feels like harshness, bitterness, criticism, coldness, uncertainty, questioning, etc. But neither one of these things feels very heavy to me. None of these obstacles feel very heavy. All of this feels very light, like this moon is going to work in your favor in a very serendipitous and wonderful way, which I think is quite interesting. But you will lose something in the process. There will be things lost in order for things to be found. And it's a matter of understanding that this is your wish fulfillment. And you're going to be seeing that come into fruition, which I think is really beautiful. So whether it be that your biggest thing that you've been investing in is work, love, money, self, there's a new beginning here. But you have to let go of what it is that has been lost in the past. You have to surrender to what it is that you thought was a better decision and make healthier choices to what it is that's in front of you now. Whatever it is that's being gifted to you, given to you as karmic justice sees itself coming into fruition. So we're going to go into Yoni. So changes in your life, including closed doors. Again, we're going back here. Closed doors or missed opportunities are not going to derail your fulfillment. Realignments, every journey starting with a single step, understanding the perfection of your life, karmic justice playing afoot. Here we are making healthier choices. What it is that has been lost was able to bring you to where it is that you're going to be now. And you're going to be happy in this space that is here, but you have to understand that you've been readjusted, recalibrated, reworked in order to end up in a better place. They're not going to derail your fulfillment. Realignments are happening based on divine wisdom and timing. You're being diverted from unnecessary obstacles and suffering. Trust in how your life path is unfolding, and I want to say has unfolded. Because I think when all of this plays out, it's not necessarily something that's going to feel that it's going to be in the present. It's more like the things that have led you up until this point. It's understanding how it is that you got here and to be willing to close the door on those things that have happened prior. Not necessarily you going through this dynamic in the present. Trust in how your life path is unfolding or unfolded. Stay true to your authentic healing journey because it is working. Whether you realize that or not, significant inner healing is taking place. So again, it's trusting in what it is that is unfolding in front of you because you are getting what it is that you desire the most. But it's just not the way that you think it was or the way you thought it was going to look or the way this journey has not gone in the way that you expected it to. You had all of these plans, possibly you had all these ideas in your head, you probably made a lot of efforts in a certain direction that seemed like it didn't work here, or wasn't working there, or what is the solution? And yet and still all of it comes together quite beautifully in the way that karma always plays out in order to bring you this wish fulfillment. But you have to be willing to understand how not to look at the cups that have been spilled, but to see the cups that are still standing. And understand that they're here to make it so that you're making healthier choices. Or what has, and again, I just keep feeling like what has happened already is this revelation of this revelation of these things taking place during this full moon. And it's realizing that the past has led up until this moment. And that in a lot of ways you are willing to let go. It's just saying, okay, well, close the doors, move forward. And it's not like you're looking at things or the things in front of you are not, it's not like you're in a situation where you're having to choose a path even though you don't know what's down the road. No, these are blessings that are going to be showing up in front of you that are going to be clear as day. And it's going to help you understand that what it is that got you to this point were these things that felt like they weren't working the way that you thought they would. Again, these derailments, this timing, these failures, etc. But they were like a wheel turning in order to move you in a new direction, in order to give you necessary karma, serendipitous karma, to be happier. Again, with the self-care and self-love. What is it? For many of you, you were taking on things. It could have been ideas about a relationship or ideas in terms of where you were going with your career that actually would have caused you more harm than good in the long run. And during this full moon transit, as big as this eclipse is, it's a revelation of that, being able to see through the end of the cycle and understanding how every single thing did play out the way that it was meant to in order to bring forth this this dream, a beautiful dream kind of narrative that's going on down here. It's like, oh, I see. This is where it is that I can go. This is what it is that I can do. How do I just release and trust in the divine altogether? Because here I thought these things weren't going to happen or this wasn't going to work the way I thought it was. And then it blossoms, it shows up. And then it kind of relieves you and it gives you this feeling of, oh, well, I see that I can trust more in the natural law of karma more than trying to force or push or understand or see or control, which is actually quite liberating. Those tangible, literal results, that clarity, that truth that you can touch and feel that says that it didn't go in vain, which I think is quite beautiful and sacred for what it is that you need the most right now. Like I said, this feels, it's so funny, the readings, it just feels light as a feather. Light as a feather. No pressure, no excess, no heavy shadow, just light as a feather. So it's interesting. I don't know, I don't really have much else to say. Happy. Something about happiness. Understanding. Clarity. Abundance. But okay. All right, Seagoat. I love you. Ciao.